I'd now like to introduce to you all, once again, our District Governor for 9510, Craig Dowling. Now, Craig is going to provide for us all a short history of Rotary in South Australia, highlighting several clubs and some of the significant projects they have achieved. So welcome back up, DG Craig.
Thanks, Heidi, Your Excellency and guests all. As the District Governor, it's a privilege. As I said, there are a lot of privileges about this job. And to be able to stand here today and present you with a short history of Rotary in South Australia needs to start with an acknowledgement of the fact that as the Governor here, I stand on the shoulders of a lot of other past District Governors. There's a number of them here today, and so before I start talking about the history, would you join me in acknowledging those who have led this area in this district before, the past District Governors with us this afternoon. Would you please give them a round of applause? Thank you. I want to tell you a story. So it's 1923. 5 years after the end of the Great War, and Australia is coming out of a recession. British immigrants are arriving in tens of thousands, and many of them are settling alongside returned soldiers, in rural Australia. Sydney-siders are starting to work on a bridge across the harbour. And in Canberra, the foundation is being laid for Parliament House. Now, if you've seen any photographs of this, you'll realise that all this happened 100 years ago in black and white. By August, Stanley Bruce is our Prime Minister. The South Australian Government is led by Sir Harry Barwell, and General Sir Tom Bridges is resident in Government House here. Into Adelaide rolls Professor W.A. Osborne, the immediate past President of the Rotary Club of Melbourne. Now, this is a man on a mission. He called 11 leading local gentlemen to a meeting on the 24th of August, 1923, and saw the formation of the Rotary Club of Adelaide. 6 months later, the club would receive its charter from Rotary International, signed on the 4th of February, 1924, 100 years ago to this date. 19 years after Rotary was founded in America, it had come officially to South Australia. 100 years to the day. Now, service clubs weren't abundant back 100 years ago. It would be another 10 years before Adelaide would see Apex, 25 more until Lions appeared, and another 3 before the Seroptimists came to town. 15 years later, Zonta, and another 17 years before Kiwanis met here in South Australia. So Rotary was confronted with a pretty green field. As the first club in the state, the Rotary Club of Adelaide had 2 important things to do. The first was to get out and serve the community, and the second, to grow Rotary and start more clubs. Now, records show that Rotary was delivering service here well before the end of 2023 to a community that didn't really understand the concept of a service club. Very quickly, the new club provided financial support following the devastating earthquake in Japan of 1923. By year's end, the disabled residents of Escort House out at Grange, they'd enjoyed a very special Christmas courtesy of the Rotary Club. So even before a Rotary Charter had arrived in Adelaide, South Australian Rotarians were making their mark locally and abroad. The extent of the Rotary Club of Adelaide's service would fill a whole book, and in fact, there is a whole book. I don't know if these are available here today, but this and I congratulate Rotarian Zing Hai Tan from the Rotary Club of Adelaide for putting this together. It's brilliant. You there, Zing? But perhaps emblematic, yeah, there are copies up the back. Thank you very much. Perhaps emblematic of the impact that the club has had here in South Australia is its instrumental role in establishing the Crippled Children's Association. We now know it as Navita. And of course the launch of the Life-Saving Medic Alert Service in South Australia in 1971. And of course Rotary Adelaide has been behind this celebration as well as most of the other events celebrating our centenary milestone. There is so much more about the Rotary Club of Adelaide. Get the book. I want to jump to 1928. There are two significant events, Rotary events in this state in 1928, and the first was the creation of Rotary International District 6-5. And Your Excellency, I looked at this and said, is that 65 or is it 6-5? I'm going to call it 6-5. Governing all the Rotary clubs in South Australia. This was the first of nine different district structures that Rotary clubs in South Australia have identified with up to today. We shuffle our deck chairs fairly regularly. The second thing that happened in 1928 was Rotary's first excursion into Rotary Extension, with the same pioneering enterprise that brought Professor Osborne to Adelaide from Melbourne in 1923. A group from Adelaide went south and inspired the founding of the Rotary Club of Mount Gambier. As it turns out, there are now 6 Rotary clubs in the vicinity of our southeast, and they are part not of this Rotary District 9510, but of Rotary International District 9780. I've got to say that the redrawing of Rotary District boundaries has happened often, and it's been a happenstance of mystery over the years, but my colleague Ian McKay, the District Governor from 9780, will introduce his South Aussie clubs when he speaks to you later. To date, the Rotary Club of Adelaide has sponsored 13 Rotary and Rotarect clubs, and they in turn have gone on to sponsor other clubs. Our first connection with Victoria's Sunraysia came in 1956 when the Rotary Club of Mildura crossed over the border and founded and sponsored the Rotary Club of Renmark, and that commenced a whole new Rotary family tree in the Riverland. Today, in 2024, the heritage of Rotary in South Australia now lives with clubs in our district, in the Northern Territory, in New South Wales, in Victoria, as well as here in South Australia. And indeed, our centenary celebration is something that we share across 83 Rotarect clubs and 83 Rotary clubs and 3 Rotarect clubs in this district, as well as 6 clubs in District 9780, covering over 1.2 million square kilometres of our sunburnt country. We're all over the place. Now, it'd be impossible this afternoon to address the achievements of the 92 clubs represented here today, and all I can really do is give you a flavour of the scope and diversity of the contributions of you, selfless, unpaid volunteers. So please let me highlight the work of a handful of our clubs, representative of the staggering inventory of service that's been delivered here by Rotary for 100 years. The Rotary Club of Unley was chartered in 1935. It was the next one that Adelaide did. It was in the middle of the Great Depression and with a geopolitical storm rising in Europe. Nowadays, the Unley Club is well known for its opportunity shop, the annual awards for the South Australian Police Officer of the Year, and carols at the Rotunda at the Unley Soldiers Memorial Gardens. Jumping to 1946, the Rotary Club of Port Adelaide accepted its charter. Now, they are strong supporters of Rotary youth programs and particularly focused on less privileged youth. The club has also carved a niche for itself in promoting local businesses in partnership with the Northwestern Business Alliance. Since 1949, Rotary Port Lincoln has been ground central for community service around our peninsula. Bushfire recovery, supporting schools, the disabled and of course the annual Tunarama Festival and so much more. Nowadays, if you're over there, you'll be able to spot the club as the operator of the Eyre Peninsula Road Safety Trailers. Rotary came to Loxton in 1958. This is my club. I'm proud of this club. It's established the Loxton Chamber of Commerce, Loxton Senior Citizens Club, 2 Probus clubs, a satellite club, an Interact club, and the International Fellowship of Motorcycling Rotarians, all of which still flourish and prosper and serve today. Rotary's Opportunity Shop is a Loxton icon, and if you go to Loxton, and I hope a lot of you will for the district conference next month, you'll see the Rotary logo all over town. We stay on the river. Rotary Waikerie got its charter in 1962. Now this club builds things. They built an opportunity shop, a senior citizens residential facility, a Meals on Wheels kitchen, walls, seats, shelters, and a toddler's pool. They also built the Waikerie Cliff Top Walk. Now you should check it out when you visit the Waikerie Riverside Markets if you come to town. The markets, by the way, are also managed by the club. The Rotary Club of Campbelltown was chartered in 1966. It's one of the largest clubs in our region, not just in this state, but in our region, and it proudly preserves its Rotary roots, proving that despite the clamour for change, there's still a demand for Rotary traditions. If you get an opportunity to, what we used to call a make-up, but now just visit another club, go and get a recharge of Rotary how it always used to be with the Rotary Club of Campbelltown. Campbelltown is very connected to its community and is particularly well known for its annual art show and the biannual Classic Cars on the Park event, which supports the Country Fire Service. 1996, there's a leap, saw the chartering of Rotary Gawler Light. Now, in partnership with a club in Bali, a Rotary club in Bali, Gawler Light has delivered projects that have changed lives in a Balinese community, particularly focusing on children. Youth service is important to this club, and it's a champion of Rotary Youth Exchange. It's well known today for driving and supporting the Shelter Bags project for the homeless, and I know there's a lot of clubs represented here today that have picked up that project, and good on you for that. The Adelaide City Rotaract Club, well, it emerged in 2012, created by 3 alumni of RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, who were inspired by that program. 12 years on, the club has added value to every area of Rotary focus, and I checked it out locally and internationally. Now, I'm going to encourage you to find a copy of their Reconciliation Action Plan. There's a card on each table that you can either take or photograph, and you can download that. This is something would be exceptional coming from any organisation, but coming from this Rotaract Club. It's an absolutely extraordinary thing, and it is a real contribution to, not just to the community, but to humanity, and I commend it to you. And my final illustration. Since 2016, the Rotary Club of Seaford has delivered on its promise of a new style of Rotary Club. With a new way of operating, it's perhaps not surprising that their signature activity would showcase something novel. They are growing, listen, microbat populations that offer an alternative, chemical-free method of insect control for grape growers. This is a young club in the vanguard of innovation. Now look, these examples are really just a microcosm of Rotary in our state. We are really part of something much greater than ourselves, greater than our clubs, greater than our district. For 100 years, we've not just been present in our community, we've been a part of it, we've served it, and we have represented it. The history of Rotary in South Australia is a living record of the power of good people working together. I'm looking at you. It's a history that is incremented every day by Rotarians making a difference. If the last 100 years has shown us anything, it is that the needs for service above self just don't diminish over time. Looking ahead, we should be confident that the dedication and generosity that's driven us for a century will ensure that Rotary continues to address those needs in our community. Thank you for the opportunity to present this to you this afternoon. Thank you.